I used to believe one sentence that almost everyone around me believed. Go to college, get a degree, get a good job, and you'll be financially secure. I never questioned it. Honestly, why would I? My parents believed it, my teachers believed it, my friends believed it. It felt less like advice and more like a rule for life. So I followed the plan. But by the time I turned 30, I had something I never expected. A decent job. A mountain of student debt. Very little savings. Almost no investments. And every month, even though I was working full-time, I felt like I was running on a treadmill that kept getting faster. That's when I asked myself a question that completely changed how I looked at money. What if college wasn't the worst investment? What if the worst investment was choosing college without understanding the return? That question changed my life. Let me explain. When I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Everyone kept asking me what I wanted to become. Honestly, I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I didn't want to feel left behind. Almost every friend I had was applying to college. Social media was full of campus tours, acceptance letters, and dorm room photos. It felt like if I didn't go, I'd somehow be falling behind in life. So I picked a major that sounded safe. Not because I loved it, not because I had researched salaries, not because I had looked at job demand. I picked it because everyone said it was a good degree. Looking back, that's probably the most expensive decision I've ever made. For 4 years, I borrowed money that didn't even feel real. Every semester, I signed another loan document. It was just a number on a screen. No cash left my pocket, no pain, no consequences. At least, that's what it felt like. Then graduation came. Reality arrived with it. My first student loan payment showed up before I even felt established in my career. Suddenly, those invisible numbers became very real. Every month, hundreds of dollars disappeared before I could even think about saving or investing. I finally had a full-time paycheck, but it never felt like my paycheck. Part of it already belonged to someone else. At first, I blamed college. I blamed the education system. I blamed the economy. I blamed my salary. I blamed everything except my own decisions. But then something happened that completely challenged my thinking. One weekend, I met an old friend from high school. He hadn't gone to college. At the time, I secretly thought he'd made a mistake. But now he was doing something completely different. He had learned a skilled trade. He almost had no debt. He had started investing years before I did. He wasn't driving a luxury car. He wasn't showing off expensive clothes. But he owned his time more than I did. For the first time, I realized something uncomfortable. My degree didn't automatically make me financially ahead, and his lack of a degree didn't automatically make him financially behind. That conversation stayed in my head for weeks. I started reading about money, not how to get rich overnight, not lottery stories, not flashy investment tricks, just simple personal finance. That's when I discovered something nobody had ever taught me. An investment isn't good just because everyone buys it. An investment is good when the value you receive is greater than the cost you pay. That sounds obvious now, but I had never applied that idea to college. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me at 18. College can be an incredible investment. Doctors, engineers, nurses, accountants, many careers genuinely require a degree and often provide a strong financial return. But for many people, college isn't automatically a good investment. It's simply the default choice, and defaults can be expensive. I realized I had focused on getting accepted into college. I never focused on understanding what came after graduation. I never asked questions like, how much debt will I graduate with? What is the average starting salary? How many graduates actually work in this field? How long will it take to pay off these loans? Those questions matter as much as choosing a major, maybe even more. Then I discovered something even deeper. The biggest mistake wasn't the degree, it was my psychology. I wanted certainty. College gave me the feeling that my future was guaranteed. Human beings love certainty.
Our brains naturally avoid uncertainty because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. So instead of making an informed decision, I made an emotional one. That's something I see everywhere now. People buy expensive cars because everyone else does. People buy larger houses because success is supposed to look a certain way. People spend money to match the lifestyle around them. I did exactly the same thing with education. I wasn't buying knowledge, I was buying the feeling that I was doing what everyone expected. That realization hurt, but it also set me free. Because if psychology created the problem, psychology could help solve it. Instead of asking, what should successful people buy, I started asking, what creates long-term freedom? That single question changed everything. I stopped chasing appearances. I started chasing ownership. Ownership of my money, ownership of my decisions, ownership of my future. The first thing I did was build a small emergency fund. Nothing exciting, just enough money so every unexpected bill didn't become a crisis. Then I created a simple budget. Not because budgeting is fun, because I finally wanted to know where my money was actually going. I realized I wasn't broke because I bought one expensive thing. I was broke because hundreds of tiny decisions quietly stole my paycheck every month. Coffee, food delivery, impulse shopping, subscriptions I forgot existed. Small purchases don't feel dangerous because they're small, but repeated thousands of times, they become huge. Then I started investing. At first, I was terrified. I thought investing was only for wealthy people. Turns out it was mostly about consistency. I started with amounts that honestly felt almost too small to matter, but month after month, I kept investing anyway. Eventually, I learned something powerful. Compound growth doesn't reward people who are smartest, it rewards people who stay consistent long enough. That lesson changed how I viewed every financial decision. I stopped asking, will this make me rich next month? Instead, I asked, will this make my future self stronger? Sometimes the answer was investing. Sometimes it was learning a new skill. Sometimes it was saying no to an unnecessary purchase. Sometimes it was simply being patient. That's another thing I wish more people understood. Financial freedom usually isn't built by one massive decision. It's built by thousands of ordinary ones. One less impulse purchase, one extra investment, one better habit, one smarter choice repeated again and again. Looking back now, I don't regret going to college. I regret believing college would automatically solve my financial future. Education is valuable, but education without financial thinking can become very expensive. Today, if someone asked me whether college is worth it, I wouldn't answer yes or no. I'd ask different questions. What career do you actually want? Does that career require a degree? How much debt will you graduate with? Could community college help lower costs? Could scholarships reduce borrowing? Could an apprenticeship, trade school, military service, certifications, or starting a business fit your goals better? The point isn't avoiding college. The point is making intentional decisions instead of automatic ones. Because the most expensive financial mistakes usually don't feel like mistakes when we make them. They feel normal. And that's exactly why so many people make them. If you're watching this and you're already carrying student loans, don't think this story is about regret. It's not. Your education still has value. Your skills still matter. Your future isn't decided by one decision you made at 18. What matters now is what you do next. Learn about money, spend intentionally, build an emergency fund, invest consistently, increase your skills, increase your income, keep your lifestyle under control as your income grows. Most importantly, stop making financial decisions just because everyone else is making them, because that's exactly what I did, and it cost me years. Today, I still make mistakes. I'm still learning. But now every dollar I earn has a job. Some pays today's bills, some protects tomorrow, some builds my future. And that feels completely different from the person I used to be. The biggest lesson I learned wasn't that college is bad. It was that every investment deserves one simple question. What return am I actually expecting? Ask that before you borrow money. Ask it before buying a car. Ask it before chasing a promotion. Ask it before spending years pursuing any dream. Because the best investment isn't always the one society tells you to make. It's the one that helps you build a life with more freedom, more choices, and less regret. For years, I believed education alone would make me financially successful. Now I know something much more important. A degree can open a door, but only financial wisdom decides what you build after you walk through it.